This is the Gotham and Beyond podcast. Today is episode 5 of the Gotham Beyond podcast. If you'd like to follow us, head over to youtube.com/Gotham Beyond. That is our YouTube channel where you can get up all these episodes. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about something that's easily overlooked. Not dice, not charts, not even flashy powers. We're talking about the other side of being a hero, the stuff that happens in between the rooftop chases and the doomsday countdowns. We're talking subplots. So if you flip to page 141 in the DC Heroes 3E core book through page 144, this is PDF pages, you'll see it spelled out. Subplots are an ongoing story thread that makes your character feel like more than just stats on a page. They're little arcs that run alongside the main adventure. Sometimes they connect, sometimes they don't, but they always make things a bit richer for your character. The book says it pretty much straight here. Subplots are set up for role-playing. The mechanics are secondary. What matters is story. Story trumps rules, and this is one of those things where it does. And it's very important because most superhero RPGs at the time, they focused on punching in powers. This, it said, what about the job you're late for? What about your girlfriend? What about the fact you haven't told your best friend who you really are? That's all just basically subplots. And it works. Now let's be clear about this for a second. The subplot isn't supposed to bury your main story. It's supposed to breathe right next to it. Bring a little additional life to it. Think of, any Batman comic. You got the A-plot. Joker setting off laughing gas bombs, but running underneath it, you got Bruce Wayne trying to deal with Wayne Enterprises board meetings, or maybe Dick Grayson wondering if he could balance law school that night with his homework and patrol duty with Batman. Those threads don't always explode into fights, but they add tension. They give the story weight. The rules even tell GMs to keep a tight rein on how many they are running. More than 3 at once, confusion, boredom. That's not me saying it, that's basically the text, but it works for whatever works for you. Subplots are seasoning, not the stew. Think of it as your Mrs. Dash or your seasoned salts that you throw into your soups or something like that. Let me tell you about a table moment that happened one time here. I had a player running the question. He picked up the public reputation subplot. People thought he was unstable, dangerous, not much better than the criminals he basically stalked. During a big case, he solved the mystery, but the cops were already there. He tried to explain, he tried to clear his name, but the subplot had weight. They arrested him. Now, in pure mechanics, he didn't need to be stopped. He could have fought his way clear, but he had the subplot because he leaned into it. The scene worked, and the comic book drama, and it was just all comic book drama and not just another boring dice roll. That's why these rules matter most of the time. The book breaks down subplots into categories, and each one feels like a hook for an issue of any comic book that DC has written prior to the year 2000, pretty much. Criminal past, death, guilt, enemies, family, friends, job, power complication, I can't read today, romance, public reputation, school, secret identity, secret past, wealth, and the one that I love the most, the catch-all miscellaneous. There's a spread right there. Even one of those categories is an open door for the miscellaneous to let you do whatever you want as long as you and the GM sit down and agree to terms. Let's look at criminal past, for example. Maybe your hero used to run with a gang. Maybe they boosted cars as teenagers. Maybe they worked for an intergang before they turned their lives around. Who knows? That's going to cause friction. Cops don't forget. Heroes don't forgive easily. Well, other heroes don't forgive easily. And villains, well, they'll use it to their advantage somehow. You know they always do. It doesn't just hang in the background. The GM can just bring it in however they want. Someone recognizes you. Someone knows the old you, and suddenly you're juggling more than a mugging in a crime alley. Think about it. Or let's look at Death Guild, for example. You ever read a comic where a hero just can't get past one mistake? Like Jason Todd, Gwen Stacy, Uncle Ben, the weight shapes them. Mechanically, it doesn't give you a new power, it gives you a roleplay gravity. You hesitate when things echo that old failure. Remember that old failure that happened. It echoes in your mind. So you throw yourself in deeper trying to prevent it from ever happening again, and that's a subplot. Enemies easily don't even need to be a supervillain. Could be even a nosy neighbor, could be a journalist trying to expose your identity. Could be that rival detective on the force who hates vigilantes. Family, that one always hits. Orphan issues, estranged parents, parents who are villains, or the shadow of a famous heroic brother you'll never live up to. There's all these things that are possible. Friends, even better, because friends aren't a plot device, they're anchors. They're the ones who get hurt when you're not looking. Then you've got pretty much the job. The job always makes me laugh. Superman's got the Daily Planet. Bruce Wayne has Wayne Enterprises. Spider Man, oh, sorry, I did that again. I know, has more poor part time jobs than I can count. The job subplot is really underrated. It really grounds a hero. It makes you ask, can I actually hold down a life outside of the mask and cape? And more often than not, the answer is no. You never know what's going to happen. And a lot of adventures that I've run sometimes happen outside of the mask and the cape. And there's a whole caper of you just being your regular identity, running around the city, trying to figure things out, mostly because you don't have time to maybe jump into the superhero persona. Or other times, it's just more interesting to be just yourself and see what you can do as yourself, as opposed to the man behind the mask. One of my players once ran a paramedic or a medic hero. No cape, just enough powers to survive in Gotham. So we kind of did like a street types thing in this episode. He had a job subplot tied to his night shift at Gotham General. Every time we started the session, I drop a hospital complication on him. Oh man, I can't speak. Complication on him. A broken machine, a boss breathing down his neck, things like that. Never stopped him from hitting the streets, but it shaped the way he played. It gave him an identity outside of the heroics. That's what these rules encourage. Now, mechanically, why do subplots even really matter, to be honest, you're saying? Well, hero points. Subplots equal hero points. Like a lot of games that I play, I don't give experience just based on combat alone. I give more experience when you play out your character, his flaws, their weakness, even their advantages. You roleplay, you get more experience. I think Palladium did it best with their experience chart. They gave more experience for figuring out ways to get away from the situation using your skills or role playing than just using your sword or whatever your superpower for using Heroes Unlimited. Now, you don't earn hero points by just naming a subplot. You actually have to play it. You have to give it screen time, and the GM decides if it matters enough to deserve points. Generally, if you're just going to, if it's just going to happen like even a little bit, you're still going to get points for it. The rule of thumb is if the subplot didn't feel important as a fight with a new villain, then it probably didn't deserve a new ward. Really, it's up to you as the GM. So you can't just say, I stopped by the hospital, wave to mom, and leave. That's not role playing. That's basically just checking a box. And it doesn't really mean anything to me as a GM. I mean, you're just doing it because you want the stupid points. You put some effort into it. I stop by the hospital. I talk to mom. I drop off some flowers and make sure she's okay. I walk down the hallway and make sure the area is clear. There's no things, but as long as you get into it and describe it, and the book is pretty much blunt about all this. If there's no real drama about it, there's no reward. So, obviously the GM can do whatever they want, but the book is really telling you, really don't give out too many points, and don't you got to curb it. The book, it lays it out plain and simple, and this is one of the times I agree with it. And that's the genius of this. The system says if you want more hero points, play out your character's life, not just the mask. Your subplot is how you earn the spotlight in downtime. It's how you turn a stat sheet into a person. So it's not just numbers on like a page and a name. So you want to make it feel alive. And there's something the rules admit you can pull the plug. Like, don't like where a subplot is going and think it's too grim, too much, then just say no. Same goes for the GM. If it's derailing the game or too much to manage, they can cut it off. No penalty, no shame. It's kind of like a safety valve because sometimes stories go too far and, the book understands it. Or I should say the author, Ray, understood it when he wrote these rules. Well, I don't think he wrote these rules, but because this comes from first edition almost. So just stepping back, what is the point of all this? Subplots reminds us that heroes aren't defined by their punches. They're defined by what they do when they're not in costume. A character who only fights villains is just basically two-dimensional and boring. Think about it. A character who fights villains and struggles to pay rent or care for a sick parent or keeps a romance alive or running in fruit shops at 2 a.m. That's something you remember. That's a comic book you remember. It's something you will read and enjoy. Now, if it's just a whole entire issue of, for, I don't know, Batman running around kicking and punching people, yeah, sure, that's going to be cool for an issue or two. But if he's not investigating or attending a gala as Bruce Wayne trying to figure out what's going on or what's happening, people are going to be like, "Yep, boring," and they're going to tune right out. Or not, they're going to stop buying and not want to do it. So that's what I have to say about that. So it's worth doing this. So it's worth playing. So next time you sit down with your DC Heroes character sheet, look past the powers, look past the numbers, pick a subplot, any subplot you want. Let it live. Because in this game, the secret life is what makes the hero real. Next time on Gotham Beyond podcast, we're going to talk a little bit back into mechanics. Maybe we'll talk on something different. I'm not quite sure. I kind of just look through the book and try to figure out what's interesting to me. Remember, you can always go to the gotham-database.com where you can find our website where I'm doing write-ups on various things and this podcast. You can go over to youtube.com/ at Gotham Beyond, or I believe we are on X as well. If you want to follow us on X, we retweet comic book stuff all the time. And that is at Gotham Database when you go to X. If you want to follow us there, you can check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And, listen to the podcast, download it, share it with your friends, and enjoy. Until next time, good night, everybody.